during that period of time when you're being held over after you get to finish your MOS training, and you say you were held over for a couple of months.
2 months, yeah.
2 months. What did you do during this period of time? I mean, as far as
kind of just floated around close.
Floated around.
They never had anything for us to do. If someone came up with they needed something done, they would call whatever company I was in and say, "I'm sure. Who do you have?" And they would send us for that particular detail. But primarily, we just floated around.
Okay.
Nothing to do.
Okay. Did you communicate back and forth to home by way of letter or telephone?
Sure, all the time. Yeah, I would talk with my mom, phone and letter, and then a couple of times I hitchhiked back to Detroit.
Okay.
At that time, hitchhiking was pretty easy to do in uniform. It wasn't too long after the Korean conflict, and soldiers in uniform were fairly popular, so you could beat the Greyhound hitchhiking.
Right, right. And one thing I forgot to ask, did you have any brothers and sisters that might have been in the military, or other family members that served in the military?
My brother served in the military before me. He got discharged in 55, so I guess he went in 53. He was drafted.
Okay, was he in the Army?
Army.
Okay.
7 years older than me, 6 years and 8 months.
Okay. Your mother and father, what were their occupation?
My mother taught school. My father was a foundry worker at Ford's Foundry in Rouge. My mother taught school. They're both one from North Carolina, one from South Carolina. My mother was born in 1898.
Oh, okay.
So she had only a high school education, but at the turn of the century in the Deep South, that qualified her to teach in the one-room school. Very bright lady.
Oh, okay. Good. Right. And how many brothers and sisters all total?
I have one full brother, one full sister. My father's first wife died after 20 years or so, and that's when he married my mother and started a second family. I have a half-brother, not presently, they're both dead, but I had a half-brother who was 22 years older than me from my father's first marriage.
Okay. All right. So now you're 2 weeks of, I mean your 2 months are over. Where did you go then from Fort Leonard?
I went to California. I went to Travis Air Force Base, California. I got there July 2nd, 3rd, something like that. July 6th. July 6th, 1956. And I was assigned to a motor pool. And had some problems there that I wasn't aware that I had done anything wrong. I was too young. They sent me to headquarters motor pool. And Captain Penny says to me, "I'm glad to get somebody in here that's got some sense." I don't know, he said that to me. And he made me the dispatcher. And there was a fellow in there doing dispatching who, I guess he was preserving the job or something, because he would take all day to do little nothing. And I wanted to show that I could do it well. So I've done it very well, and that gave us more time in the office to goof off. And I would go out into the Bay Area. I'm still 18, and probably said things that I shouldn't have, like to other guys my age. I might say, "You getting real dirty out here," or something, just being silly. Anyway, one day, after about, maybe 6 weeks, Captain Penny called me in the office and he said, "Pack your gear. You're going to C Company," which was out in the field, out in the boondocks. I didn't know anything about it. And so I packed my gear and I went to the boonies. And when I got to that company, it started to dawn on me then that I was being transferred because of something I had done wrong. I wasn't aware. The platoon sergeant says to me, "Wow, you left headquarters. What did you do wrong?" I said, "I have no idea." And I was blackballed by some inner group there. I always suspected it was racial. There's no suspicion really, just about. Anyway, I went to a missile site. I was a gun site just outside of Travis Air Force Base, halfway between Sacramento, and another small town. And they sent me to the boonies. It was a gun site, like I said, anti-aircraft gun in '75. And after about 10 months, I hadn't got promoted. And nobody said much to me. And so finally, there was a black fellow came in, E6, and he says, "Why haven't you been promoted?" I said, "I have no idea. I was doing everything right." And so then that same day, I went to the first sergeant. He asked me, "What were those questions? Some basic 10 tenets that you had to know." And I recited them to him, and I got promoted then to PFC. And shortly after that, my mother took very ill, heart problems, and I put in for a compassionate transfer, and I was transferred to Detroit. By that time, the guns had went obsolete, and it was the Ajax missile, and there was a missile site on Belle Isle, and I caught on real quick, and had no problems. And I was in Detroit for, I guess, 4 years, 8 months, 9 months, something like that.
Okay, so how did you get back to Detroit from California? What mode of transportation?
It was either bus or train. Caught a train. As a matter of fact, I caught train from Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri to California initially. And then when I left there, I caught a train back to Detroit. I didn't fly.
Was it a troop train or was it a commercial train?
No, commercial.
Regular commercial. What was that like? Had you ever traveled on a train before?
Oh yeah, sure. That was the thing. The train station there at 14th and Michigan was bustling back in those days, and we traveled to the south to visit my mother's farm on several occasions. Just about every summer we would spend in the mountains in North Carolina. One of the best times of my life, I think. I've always been kind of a solitary person, and there in Carolina, the farm was so far out, you couldn't see another house if you stood on the hill and looked in any direction. And I thought it was very nice to be there.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the nature.
Okay. All right. So now you're back in Detroit. Were you living on base, or did you live at home? Or
No, I lived at home. I lived at home with my mother at that time. My father died when I was 13, and so I lived at home with my mother on Ford in Detroit.
Okay. All right. And so, but your station was at
Belle Isle.
Belle Isle. Okay. So how did you feel being in the military and being almost like a